Is that it?
That is it.
Oh my God!
Why does Snape have a...
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Harry Potter, the new series, as I look at some of the promotional images, I found something with Snape that bothers me, and I can't unsee it, and I'm wondering what it means for the rest of the series. Now, it's not Black Snape. I don't care. Like I've already said before, I don't care that Snape is a black guy now. It doesn't bother me. But here is the thing that gets me. So this is Snape. And I'll tell you what bothers me right here looking at this. So whenever we saw the trailer, the zipper. It is the zipper.
Is that it?
That is it.
Oh my God!
So whenever we watch the trailer, we see him doing like very Snape move as he just moves his wand. The more I'm like, why does Snape have a zipper? Zippers don't belong in the wizarding world. Zippers don't belong. We have buttons, we have sashes, we have ropes and belts. There's no zippers.
Robes.
Yeah. Why is there a zipper? And so if you look at the lapels, so the lapels of his larger robe or trench coat, who knows what they're doing, it looks like you see two little metal, like, or gunmetal looking things right near his shoulders at the corner of his lapels.
Yeah.
That really looks like the things where you have drawstrings and you have the things that hold them in place if you pull the drawstrings. The only thing that would make this okay, but would also make it worse, is if this was him in the real world of London, where he has no business being because he wasn't in the real world in London.
Right.
He was in the wizarding world. We had Dumbledore and McGonagall, and Hagrid. They were all in the real world. But Snape was not. So, this zipper. Why does he have a zipper?
I'm thinking back to when he was like, what exactly is the function of a rubber duck? It makes me think that if they don't know what the function of a rubber duck is, how in the hell would they know what the function of a zipper is?
To tie this back into what we were talking about whenever we watched the trailer, it looked like they were taking... I mean, obviously, we're still talking about wizards and witches and all this stuff. However, the look of it looked far more grounded. And one of the things that I mentioned is that it's missing the same whimsy that the movies had. Like, it feels more grounded. Like,
feels too grounded.
Yeah, we'll see what it looks like whenever we get the actual series. But what we saw in that little preview, Hogwarts looked more like your typical sort of Oxford University. It didn't look as whimsical and fun and kind of magically zany as the movies did. And so looking at this, I'm like, are we going to lose kind of that old school look as well, where our zipper is going to be making an appearance? And so I have a thing. This is not an officially released image, but this is an image that was taken while filming. So it was a leak. And this is Jonathan Lithgow as Dumbledore. I think he looks great as Dumbledore, first of all. However, while it is a bit of an older styling, you'll see that he is not wearing robes. He actually has a vest and a shirt with buttons. You see a pocket watch there and some trousers. Again, the trousers are a bit flared. They're not the standard sort of style, but it is far more normal than we are accustomed to seeing, given that in the movies, all he ever wore was robes. So I'm wondering,
and it could be because they're taking a break from filming and he was just burning up and took the robe off. But
even still,
it's hard to tell.
That's obviously part of the costume, though. Like, that's not him just chilling under a robe.
Right. Agreed.
This is clearly part of the costume. So I'm wondering how grounded we're going to get. And it seems so small, I know, but seeing a zipper on a wizard just bums me out, man.
I can't disagree with you there. I like with the first picture, that was the first thing I saw. And you're right. Snape never really left the wizarding world to go to like London or somewhere. So it does strike me as odd. And maybe this is an off-campus shot. Who knows? I remember in the trailer,
just some wizard tracksuit for some reason.
Yeah, like he just went on his own
taking a jog around
hiatus.
campus.
Yeah. So I remember in the trailer that we saw, that was just a quick snippet of him walking down the hall at night with his wand out. And that looked like a regular robe to me, though. That had the almost like the priest color.
It looked much more like the Snape
Yeah.
outfit that we're accustomed to.
People are already going nuts over the Snape thing, and not for the reasons that people think. For all the people that haven't really bought into the social media or looking at the social media on this show, people's concerns generally are not because of the race change. People's concerns
It is out there.
are because James Potter, if they're keeping with the books, he picked on Snape his entire school career. And so we've got, instead of a guy picking on a guy, now we've got a white guy picking on a person of color. And that changes the whole dynamic. And that's what people's problems were.
First of all, let's get this out of the way. Papa Sidu, the guy that's playing Snape, he's come out and said that he's gotten threats and this kind of stuff. And of course, unfortunately, that's always going to happen.
Shitty.
There's always going to
Yeah.
be these fucking rats online that are going to be that way. And just stop being weird. There's no he took a job. If they offered me the role of Hermione, I'd play it. I'd think it was a bad call.
You'd have to shave.
I'd do it. I'd be cashing those checks, man. Okay, like I'd be sitting with it. So you can't fault this guy for accepting a job that he was offered. That's Harry Potter money.
Of all the actors of shoes he had to fill, you should commend him.
And that's my thing, is I feel like if we look back of all the actors and all of the sort of the shoes to fill, Snape and Alan Rickman's performance as Snape, that's Hugh Jackman's Wolverine of the Harry Potter series. Those are the biggest, toughest shoes to fill.
I hope he knocks it out of the park.
As do I.
I hope he nails the role. I hope they all do.
I'm not familiar with him, so I
definitely hope he
haven't
does.
seen him in anything, or
I
if
haven't
I have
either.
seen him in anything else, I'm not aware of it, because obviously he's a British actor. I'm sure he's done tons of stuff on the BBC and whatever, but
or the
not
Royal
anything that
Shakespeare
I'm
Company, just been on stage, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So not anything that I'm familiar with. So yeah, I hope everybody kills it. I want this thing to be good.
Yes.
I am curious to know who they get to play Sirius Black. Like, who gets to fill Gary Oldman's shoes, and then their approach to it. And, like, if they're going to do the same, like, tatted up prison guy, because I loved that look for the character. I thought that was so cool and so different. It made him so much different than everybody else on screen. Nobody else was like, had all these prison tats and stuff like that. You know, there was some people had the mark on them. That was it. Outside of that, there were no tattoos in the wizarding world. So I thought it gave him such a really unique, interesting look, and I hope they don't lose that in the show.
I love David Thewlis playing Remus Lupin. I had Reed casted it as Paul Bettany, which I thought would also be a decent Remus Lupin, but I'll be anxious to see as seasons go by who they add cast-wise.
There are rumors that Paul Bettany is cast in the show, but unannounced.
Are you kidding me right now?
I am not kidding you.
So I could still potentially be right, because I've been wrong about 100% of my Reed casts.
Potentially. Yeah, but there are rumors that he has accepted a role in the show.
They also didn't show, and I found it odd because it played such a huge role in the first book, but the Forbidden Forest. You know, they didn't show Aragog, they didn't show the unicorn. I just found that weird because it's a big part of that first book.
What they're showing right now is like a vibe check. You know, they're just kind of like getting it out there, showing some things. I'm sure they're probably like, let's see how people react to it. What do they think? You know, what parts are they picking out of the trailer? I am curious as to how grounded of an approach they're going to take to it and what kind of impact that'll have to the overall feel. Like, it might feel like darker sooner, where it's like there was always, the whole thing is this dude tried to murder an infant that lived. So it was always pretty dark, but it didn't seem as heavy until much later, just because of some of that whimsy. And so having that out and having a less exaggerated interpretation of like the Dursleys, for example. We saw the Dursleys in the trailer, and they look like normal people. They're not like exaggerated caricatures, which makes the bullying that he endured feel even more gross and dire. And so I think it might actually get like a lot heavier, a lot sooner, just because of that lack of whimsy.
It was a lot more harsh in the books than it was in the movies. I got to tell you right now, though, if I see one smartphone on one of these kids, I'm going to lose my shit.
I think they've said, I don't know if it's official, but my understanding is that they are placing it in the 90s. The look that we got of the Dursleys, where you got to see the mom and all that, like her hairstyle, and would seem to lean towards that, towards a dated, a slightly dated era. We'll see, but that damn zipper, like seeing those promotional photos and seeing that zipper, I'm like, what is happening there? And I hope we don't see that zipper in the show. I hope we don't see it, because it just it doesn't fit. So we'll see what their approach to the costuming is, but I hope that they don't go too normal.
Yeah, me neither. That was just off-putting.